Hey guys, welcome to Callous Fight Night. Very happy to be catching this live. I have seen a number of these Fight Night things after the fact in recent times, and I much prefer live narrations, more authentic, more fun, and I get to give you guys genuine reactions. I have no idea who's going to win because we're watching it in real time. Champion Zomog against Challenger Thelinearcurve. He's on my Prehensile Trunk, one of my favorite alts, and he's topside. So Zapdos on Fori lead. I would assume that Fori stays in, eats a Thunderbolt here, I guess a Thunder Wave possibly, but probably a Thunderbolt, and simply goes for Spikes. I think that's a worthwhile trade. For Zomog, without knowing the rest of his team, it's really hard to say. I could see Thunderbolt, I could see Thunder Wave, I could see Baton passing. He opts for a Thunder Wave, and the Fortress gets Spikes off through that. So these two guys are two of the more successful ADVers of recent times. Linear went through that stretch of being pretty much undisputed, pretty much inarguably the single best ADV player, probably for 2 years and change, and that's really, really hard to do. Widely respected as one of the all-time greats. Zomog, on the other hand, has managed to. He went 7-2 in the regular season of SPL. His playoff game happened today. I'm not going to spoil the result of that if you have not seen it, but he did that as well. And that's a pretty damn impressive showing. The top performing, tied for the top performing ADVer in this year's SPL. That's really, really good. These are two guys who you should expect to see both of them in CALLOUS Invitational 4, and I can't wait. But here is a little preview of what we've got going on. We've got a little bit of an audience here. We've got 12 users, including guys like Gary Oak and Sprinkles checking this out. The Thunder Wave there on the Heracross is a little bit dangerous potentially because it could have guts, but I think it must not because I feel like the Rock Slide would have done more. So I think it is a Swarm Heracross as opposed to Guts. And Rock Slide on the counterpart. So interesting here. They actually both have a Heracross. Zom, however, goes for Rock Slide, fishing Paraflinch into Lanier's Heracross, and he does find the flinch. So now we've got Hera on Hera at basically identical HP. Zomog obviously faster here, thanks to the paralysis. And they're both staring each other down. Two female Heracross here. Kind of seems like a manly, masculine power Pokemon, but here in the age of gender equality, we have two female Heracross. Both of them thinking about what to do, and they're both going to stay in. Zomog again goes for the Rock Slide, and they're both going to connect. It is Linear, however, that gets the killing blow with his, so maybe he actually does have Guts as opposed to Swarm. Either way, a T-Tar comes in. That's going to make life difficult for Linear. The Heracross is on its deathbed anyway, and now we've got Sand in play. He's going to Focus Punch to prevent a Sub or a Dragon Dance or any kind of shenanigans, and the obligatory attack does come down for Zom. So Heracross is down for both players, and that is going to leave us in a 5-5 situation. Linear did get that one layer of spikes down beneath Zom's team. And now Milo comes in. Very interesting team. I mean, minus the Heracross, it looks like just a semi-classic. I mean, Jirachi's not always on the team, but fairly generic Fori TSS team. But Hera with Fori is an unusual pairing. And this is unusual as well. We've got a Rest Chestoberry T-Tar for the ever-innovative Zomog. So Surf gets blanked, T-Tar back to a hundo, obviously doesn't have lefties since we know that he has Chestoberry, and out of the way he goes. And we're picking up more of an audience here as we go. We've got 16 users watching this, very cool. Surf goes into a Coon, 2 PP because of pressure, but we're nowhere near the point on turn 12 where we need to start worrying about PP, and it seems like both teams have enough offensive presence to where it does not look like we're probably going that way. I don't see this being a 200-turn grind-fast kind of game, but you never know. Traditionally, Coon beats the crap out of Milotic. There are very few exceptions to that. It would have to be a non-sub, non-rest Coon, which is basically just a really bad, unviable Coon that happens to eat a Toxic from Milotic. but in almost every other scenario, Milotic just dominates this matchup. So it's going to force out a switch, and that's really interesting. Now, granted, I don't know that I like it in this situation, because almost every Milotic carries refresh, so even if you had connected there, who cares? And as it turns out, both the Fortress and the Jirachi are toxic immune. Milotic is basically toxic immune. And Heracross, I mean, who cares now, but very well may have had guts. So Linear's team seems very, very well equipped against Toxic. That does it's a cute tech, and I have seen situations where Toxic Coon is devastating, but this particular matchup does not seem like the best matchup for that poke. Dougie switches in here, 60-40 roll, and Zomog wins the 40% actually, because remember, 60% chance because of Serene Grace for the Dougie to get paralyzed, and of course if he were paralyzed he would just instantly die to the follow-up body slam from the Jirachi. But Zom takes the chance and he just gets there. Now it's Linear with a bazillion protects in a row. He succeeds with 3 of them in a row, but it will not be enough. The 4th one, really bad odds of that happening. He, in fact, does not get the 4th one. The Dugtrio does take out the Jirachi, and the lead belongs to Zom. Psychic and over prediction here for Linear. Not sure what he was trying to hit. Maybe he thought the Zapdos was coming in. I doubt he was anticipating a Gengar, and I highly, highly, highly doubt the last Pokemon for Zom is a Gengar. But Psychic on the Zap, when combined with the Sand, will be enough, and we've got ourselves a tie game once again at 4-4 with an unrevealed. Interesting that Dugtrio comes into Claydol, who of course with the Levitate ability is not affected by Arena Trap. Claydol can switch out here if he wants to. What's Fori at? A hundo? Man, it's really tempting, I think, if you're Linear to just go to Fori here. What's the worst thing that can happen? Dugtrio goes for Earthquake? I think if I'm Linear, I go to Fortress here. I wouldn't risk Milotic. I mean, Milotic's very healthy, but I wouldn't risk it, just the crit or whatever BS. You could stay in with Claydol, but I mean, I don't know if HP Bug probably kills him 50%. I don't know, it's close. It really depends. Claydol these days, I mean, it could easily have max HP, really high defense, or it could have no defense, and it could be like max speed with Boom. Claydol these days is a funky poke as far as EVs are concerned. There's definitely a couple different sets that function very differently than it could have. And there are scenarios here where HP Bug always kills. There are scenarios here where HP Bug never kills. And of course there are scenarios where it is simply a damage roll. And this turns out to be a situation where it will kill. And Linear is going to lose the Claydol. I question not going to Fortress here. That seemed like a generically safer play to me. But Linear is better than I am. I'm not going to question him too much. He made the decision that he made, and he is now trying to set up a DD Tar. We know the opposing Tar has no item. He already ate a Chesto Berry. Focus Punch on Dragon Dance is devastating. Linear wildly out-predicted on that turn is going to lose his T-Tar. That's probably the most critical turn of the match. I felt like Linear had a decent shot there had he simply stayed in and attacked, but he goes for the second DD. He gets punched in the nuts, and all of a sudden Linear is not in a good spot. He does manage to kill the opposing T-Tar with Milo, but it might very well be too little too late. He's down to 2 pokes against 3. One of them is Fortress, so that's not a win con. Milotic has a very limited opportunity. He is going to need a critical hit here. Likewise, Fori could get a critical hit here. It would have to be Earthquake or something like that. Nope, there's a Fire Punch. Linear down to only Milo now. Milo, I think, needs to either have Hypnosis or immediately have a Surf crit. And neither one of those occurs. And it is going to be Zom taking him down with a clutch Focus Punch. I don't know if that was Zom making a huge play or more likely Linear making a huge choke. Kind of seemed like a choke to me, but either way, it is going to be Zomog continuing his reign as our CALLOUS Fight Night champion, and the Thelinearcurve in his CALLOUS Fight Night debut is going to be vanquished. An uncharacteristic choke, staying in for that second DD, only to get nailed by Focus Punch. Now, granted, it's a weird set. It's a rest T-Tar, which you never see. Zomog is unpredictable. It's really hard to know that it's going to have that. At the same time, you could argue that Zomog is a player who notoriously spams focus punches. He's very much that guy. He loves Breloom. He loves those old undisputed teams with the focus punch spam offenses. So, I mean, I guess if you're playing the player, you can make that argument as well. But definitely, if it came down to me saying amazing play by Zom versus choke for Linear, I don't think it's 100% versus 0 one way or another, but I lean more heavily toward a choke from Linear, which, like I said, is uncharacteristic for a player who was so consistent and so dominant only a couple short years ago. But Zomog is one of the hottest ADVers right now, and here he is showing us why. Beating Linear fairly soundly here. Maybe it goes differently had Linear stayed in and attacked, maybe earthquaked on that focus punch turn. He had a shot to sweep. Of course, the Doug Trio and the Coon come into play at that point, so it's hard to know exactly what would have happened. But as it was, Linear more or less lost that game the second the focus punch came down, and Zomog is going to remain our champion. So, there is only one thing left to do, and that is to find out who Zomog is going to be against next week. Let's see. I don't want to accidentally click on this tab here, let you guys know who I'm thinking about inviting to CALLOUS Invitational for. That's going to have to be for another day. So we're going to go to... Man, what am I doing? I'm clicking on every tab other than the right one. Here's the correct tab. Man, our challenger pool getting thin here. We're going to have to replenish this. If you are watching this out there on YouTube and you want to be a part of this, please let me know. We're getting way too thin here. So absolutely let me know if you want to participate in this. Looks like the overwhelming favorite to be drawn is our boy Gaku, but the RNG does not always cooperate. Anyway, so let's see what we've got here. So 17 and 9 is 26, plus 7 is 33, plus 5, 38, 42, 45, 47 is what I came up with. Let's try that one more time. 17, 9, 26 plus 7, 33, 38, 42, 45, 47. Alrighty. Random number generator. 4,700 becomes 47. Click. Number 7. I think that means that Gaku finally gets his turn, I believe. That is exactly what it means. Finally, after waiting for 17 weeks, rotting in the pool, it is going to be Gaku against Zomog next week for CALLOUS Fight Night. Looking forward to that game. I hope you guys are too. I will see you there. Thumbs up if you liked it. A lot of good stuff on the horizon. Specifically, PPL that I will be hosting and heavily promoting. That is Pokemon Perfect League. That is going to have its manager signups at the end of this month, and the tournament is going to begin shortly after. So absolutely check out Pokemon Perfect. Join my CALLOUS Discord channel and the Pokemon Perfect Discord channel and get involved in that. I will see you guys soon.